First things first, I'm the realist. But second things second, make sure you go like and comment on this video that I made on the UC Davis channel. Any engagement, similar to a couple that thinks they're going all the way, engagement is key. So make sure you go watch this video, leave a like, comment, and it'll help me out a lot. Thanks. So I went golfing for the first time this week. Well, I didn't go golfing for the first time. I've been golfing. So why did I say I've never been golfing? I've never been golfing on a driving range. Do you guys know what a driving range is? It's not like for cars. It's for golf. If the context didn't already give that away. Or your time on this earth didn't already give that away. And you're already fully aware of what a driving range is. But a friend of mine, you might know him, Andrew Hoyer, or have heard of him from listening to this podcast. He got invited to go golfing by someone at his work, and the lad's never been teed up before. You know, not a technical in basketball, but he's never teed up on the green, which isn't. Nope. Damn it. See, I thought of another bad joke. That one would have been bad. It would have been. I'm not gonna say. I feel like I do this every podcast. I like think of something, and I'm like, well, I can't say it. And then that's it. I just say, well, I can't say that. And then I move on. I'm just going to tell you that joke I couldn't have said for religious purposes. Not my religion, but I think it would have made a joke about religion, a certain religion, and that would have been bad. So, he's never golfed before. So he wants to get his practice swings in, just get a little familiarity with the game. Some of that muscle memory. I've gone golfing with Hoyer before, which is, is that contradictory? Because I just said he's never golfed and, I've never done the driving range. We've done Top Golf together. You familiar with what Top Golf is? 3 levels of golf bays, and then you just hit a ball into giant circles, and then you get points. In Top Golf, you're trying to get points. It's very different than real golf. That's actually the only difference. It's still, you still hit the same way and everything. It's just you want points instead of no points. Great. Awesome. Now you understand what golf is, so we can move along in this conversation. But my friend Hoyer, he got invited to golfing, and so he was like, well, I gotta hit the range. So he gave me a call, and I was like, oh, who'd you think of when you wanted to hang out? Oh, this guy. And he was like, well, everyone else was busy. And I was like, okay, well, it's nice to be number 2. And he was like, okay, well, more like 7 or 8. I was like, okay, you don't need to tell me all of that. But we went to the driving range, in my hometown of Roseville, home of the Roses. I don't actually know why we're called Roseville. I remember someone asked me a few months ago. I was like, oh, I'm from Roseville. And they were like, oh, you guys known for your roses or something? And I was like, that's a great question. I have no idea. In fact, the only thing that shows any semblance of a rose is there's this hiking path near this one movie theater over by Sunsplash, which is a water park. And this hiking trail has a giant statue that apparently looks like a rose from the air. From a bird's eye view, it's supposed to look like a rose. And I'm like, what kind of everyday person has a helicopter that they're going to be able to experience that? So, it's really stupid. It's like if you were named, I don't know, Diamondsville. And it was just the most poor city in the entire world. And there's actually never been diamonds there. Like you would think, oh, Diamondsville, was it like back in the day known for mining? No. They're known for their wheat production. And they have terrible weather conditions, so that's why they're so poor. Because their fields are constantly being ravaged by Mother Nature. But for some reason, let's call them Diamondsville. Like what? All because one person wore a diamond dress one day. And guess what? The diamonds? Fake. They were bedazzled from Joann's. But let's call it Diamondsville. You know, I bet they retroactively made the rose for Roseville. I bet we were named Roseville first, and they were like, oh, do we have any roses? You know, for brand consistency. And then the board of directors was like, oh my God, Roseville doesn't have roses. And so these people probably did like a lemonade fundraiser, maybe some car washes, and they got enough money put together to make a giant metal rose. But hey, let's put a catch on it. Let's make it only look like a rose if you're in the sky. What? And then everyone in the room was like, that is really stupid, but I want to go home, so let's just approve it and move on. I actually, you know, funny enough, it's not funny. You know, I hate when people say that. Anytime someone starts something, I think I've said this on this podcast. Anytime someone's like, "Oh, funny story," nope, you lost. It's not whatever is now going to happen. Whatever you're going to tell me, it's not going to be funny. Even if it is, you've set the bar so high that it has to be funny because now, at minimum, it has to be funny. So if it doesn't supersede that, you know, just completely blow through expectations, it's a failure in my eyes. So don't say funny story or this is a funny part because it's not going to be. Anyways, funny story. That rose, there's a bunch of tiles at the bottom of it. And these tiles are the art of like some elementary school kids. And that art got there because a guy in my Boy Scout troop did his eagle project. And that was the project to make these, imagine he's like in an elementary school with a whip and he's like, get to work, make me my art so I can put it on a slab under a dumb metal rose that only looks like a rose from the sky. His Eagle Award or his Eagle project was to have elementary school kids create this art on like a tile and then paste the tile into these stone slabs at the base of the rose. And this scout I'm talking about is the same guy I said last episode is an asshole that's going to make a great politician. Now I've given so much context that if you know me personally, you know who I'm talking about. And who gives a fuck? Whatever. So yeah, we do have a rose. But I don't know if we deserve the name Roseville. It just kind of is a thing. Luckily, though, I think there's like another Roseville in like Michigan or some shit. So hopefully they're using, you know, having the name live up to its expectation. But I come back to my hometown of Roseville, you know, and I go to this golf range with my friend Andrew Hoyer, and we're walking there. You know, we're in the parking lot. We start walking to the driving range. He's taking the lead because, yeah, I don't even know, did this exist? This building where the like golf course of Roseville, I've only been on the right side of it, which is, I don't know why it's always worked out to be that way, but on the right side of it, there's a restaurant called Legends, which is anything but one. The legend of that place is don't eat there, okay? And then right next to Legends, just a door open away, is this nice room. It's like, you know, there's vaulted ceilings, and it's like you can put a bunch of circle tables there that seat like, 8 to 10 people each. So it forces conversation. But that like ballroom, we'll call it, was always used by like my high school. Anytime a sports season wrapped up, they would use that ballroom for their banquet, you know, where they give their awards and all the other things. And anytime a club wrapped up, that's where we would have our closing meeting ceremony, whatever. You hand out pins and you like bring in the new group or whatever. But I'd only been in that half of the golf course because I was only there for Legends. I would never go on my own, accord. I was always, I was part of something, like it was my sister was in Girl Scouts. They would have like Girl Scout dinners, and then I would just go because I'm the family. And then, I did some sporting and some club events, and so that's why I found myself in the ballroom. But I never found myself in the left side of the golf course. And that building, I still don't know what it is, but I walked by it to get to the driving range, which is on the like back left part of the golf course. I remember Hoyer texted me. He was like, "Do you want to go golfing?" I was like, "Sure." Because apparently I have nothing else to do, that I have to do one of the most boring activities the world has ever created. No, I think golfing is fine. If you have nothing else to do. Golfing's cool. But truly, you have to have nothing else to do to find it enjoyable. But as we're walking there, there's connecting the buildings I've been in to the building that I've not been in. There's like an arch, a little walkway right in the middle of them. And there's a couple tables set up because you can take your Legends and go outside because, of course, the flies want some of this too. Flies are attracted to shit. Of course, they're going to want to eat some of this. Legends food isn't bad. It's just the whole restaurant is terrible. Anyways, it's just a bar with food, and they're like, "Hey, you know what? We're a restaurant." And I'm like, "Nope, you don't have to be a whole thing." And they're like, "We're gonna be a whole thing." I was like, okay?" Just because you have the makings of a restaurant doesn't mean you have to be one. Like growing up, just because you have potential and you're somehow inherently smart doesn't mean you have to amount to anything. You can just give up. You don't have to live up to expectations. I mean, look at me. No. Okay, sorry. But I walked through this and, there's those tables and there's a group of 6 Caucasian fathers. We're in Roseville, remember. And I walked by and I noticed the one, preaching the good word, putting on a show for the other 5 gentlemen, is a man I recognize. It is an adult by the name of Rob Horn. Now, if you don't know Rob Horn, which literally none of you should, he is the father of a guy I grew up with named Zach Horn. Zach Horn and I played baseball together at first, and then we were on the same basketball team in like middle school and high school. And so Rob Horn, I would think, is very familiar with who I am. If you asked Rob Horn, "Hey, do you know Gauruv?" He'd probably say, "Oh yeah, isn't that too bad of me, huh?" I fucked that joke up. That was like the worst wording to say that. Okay, here's another one. Let's try again. If you were to ask Rob Horn, "Oh, do you know Gauruv?" He'd be like, "Yeah, I know, right?" No, there were a lot of better ways to deliver that line, and I just fucked it up. But I noticed, Hoyer's walking on my right side. I'm on his left. And so Hoyer's between me and that table as we're walking past. But I still decide, hey, you know what? I got to give a wave. It'd be wrong of me. I'd be remiss if I didn't wave. Right? Because that's how important I am of a person that the world would be worse if I didn't wave to this adult man that should know who I am. Also, Rob, Mr. Horn, and we haven't seen each other in probably 4 years, So, as you can probably imagine, I look a little different. Like, I think my arms are much more toned now, so it's very hard to recognize me now. Of course, there's other differences too, like maybe with the facial hair and the hair and the weight, but mostly it's probably how toned my arms are. and probably my just giant caboose. But I'm on Hoyer's left side, and I do that thing where, I just speed up a little bit just so I can get like in front of Hoyer, so he's not like blocking me. I get in front of him and I go, you know. Also, worth noting, I have a mask on. So, really, I don't know what I was expecting. Like, I have a mask on, my hair is much longer, uh, new glasses frames, it's the little things, people, okay? But I give a nice wave, and I could see it. I could see it in his eyes. The lack of recognition. It was it was so evidently there. The absence of knowing who I am. Because he gave a very a meek, is that what it's called? A meek, just a very like uncertain, just I I I you know how I said the world would be a worse place if I didn't wave? Well, I did wave. And I think because of that, the world is now a worse place. Because what a terrible. He was there, orating, giving a story. He was the jester for his friends. He was entertaining them with, you know, the art of gab. And then, of course, me, self-important me, had to be like, "Hi, remember, you know who I am. I know who you are." And then I interrupted his whole flow. He was like in it. He was like, "Yeah." Then I hit a bogey. Um, then I hit an eagle, and then I got a hole in one. It's like that's animal abuse, but it's in golf, so it's fine. And I completely messed up his flow by being like, "Hi, acknowledge me." And he did acknowledge me, but he didn't recognize me at all. And so I just kept walking, and I asked Hoyer, I was like, "Chances Rob Horn recognized me?" Hoyer's like, 50. I was like, "Yeah, more like 5 on a good day." He definitely didn't recognize me. And like I said, what was I thinking? I had a mask on. Do I have a mask? I don't. Um, Here, but my face was covered, and I have long hair. There's no reason. I mean, how many brown guys are there in Roseville? Probably not that many. But I heard they're on the rise. So his pool of people probably not that big to pick from. But still, what am I expecting? But this confirms one thing. I didn't leave an impression on Rob Horn, and because of that, I couldn't sleep that night. That and also because of the events that took place short after. We get to the driving range. All the bays are set up, and I see there's a ball dispenser, and then also a place to get golf balls. And you put in some money, and the thing we got was 2 buckets of balls, 45 balls, $8. What a bargain! I have gotten way fewer balls at a much higher price. So this, dare I say it, was a steal when it came to balls. So we get these buckets of 45 balls. We split them 22, 23 probably. I don't know. We eyeballed the balls. Well, we did much more to the balls, but we definitely eyeballed them to split them out. We get to our bays. I let Hoyer take the lead. He starts hitting a couple of them. And he had brought his own golf clubs. He already had some. I didn't. In the area of owning golf balls, mark me down as a 0. I'm sorry. I don't operate in that arena. What is the arena? It's the arena of owning golf clubs. Uh, but he already owns his own golf clubs, and they're in a you know what, like they're sheathed. What do you call it? You can put bows in a sheath. Is it a sheath? I don't fucking know. In a arrow holder, but there's a golf club holder. The caddy thing, the like long backpack for golf utilities. And he's got one of these. And it's very advanced because the golf bays have their own like metal frames that you can put your golf backpack on. But Hoyer just, flicks his bag. Oh boy. That's public indecency. Flicking his bag at a golf course? Oh my goodness. But he like flicks his bag and these two spokes come out of it and he just, puts it on the ground and it just stands up on its own. I was like, oh my God. Wow. I look around, I'm like, wait, is everyone doing this? And a lot of people, their bags just stand up on themselves. By themselves. My bad. They erect themselves. In public, nonetheless. Oh my. But, he starts going with a 7 iron. Sure. And he starts hitting them. And he's like, you gotta give this a try. So I picked the 6 iron. And I don't know, it's metal and it has a number 6 on it. What the fuck does that mean? And I go to the bay right next to his, adjacent. And I start hitting it. And I don't know if you guys ever played baseball. Or like even just hit a baseball with a bat, but you're probably familiar with the concept of a sweet spot on a bat. That's like you can hit it. It's like right in the center of the bat's barrel. It feels super good, and the ball goes super far. But right below that, as it gets closer to where your hands are holding the bat, it's a much skinnier part. It's getting away from the sweet spot and it's getting closer to the handle. And I don't know if you ever hit a baseball right there, but that shit makes the whole bat vibrate and it hurts your hands so much. It's one of the worst feelings. And as I kept hitting these golf balls, it just kept feeling like that. I felt like I kept hitting the balls on the worst fucking part of these clubs. I don't know what was going on, but my hands were getting real sore. And then it dawned on me, oh, I'm just weak. This hurts because I don't do physically demanding activities. And so just swinging a golf club and making contact with a golf ball was enough to make my hands and fingers ache. Imagine being too soft for golf. Oh my God. I would say, just hang it up at that moment, but you're probably too weak to carry something or to pick something up to hang it up. And then by the end, my left shoulder started hurting. I was like, God damn it, man. What? I know don't worry. I've just started working out, which means my super athletic robot body is coming in due time. It's just, these are video games, they go through alpha, beta stages. We're like pre-alpha, they're still like testing. So the fact that, I'm even able to operate like this in a pre-alpha stage, guys, you got to hand it to me. I'm doing pretty okay. Can I not hit a golf ball without, wanting to get some ice on these phalanges? Yes, but that's just one, patch away from getting fixed, okay? Come beta, maybe even come alpha. That's going to be worked out, okay? These kinks, they'll be gone. But I felt so, achy breaky, my back, my heart. By the end, I told her, I was like, I've been kind of thinking about maybe hitting up some batting cages in a couple weeks. That's been something that I've been thinking about, like just being able to swing a bat, hit some baseballs. But this golfing excursion that just we just went on has made me second guess that whole operation. Because if I can't even hit a fucking golf ball without 911 on speed dial, then I don't know what a baseball is going to do to my upper body. And he was like, "Yeah, we should do it. Ice up, and we'll do it." But yeah, I was seeing some pros, you know, at those bays. There was everyone from all walks of life, you know, like little girls were hitting these balls just way farther than I could, and with so much grace and elegance. Just my golf club is taller than these little girls, and I and my hands were all blistered by the end. Oh my god. And then you have your much more senior golfers, I suppose. I don't know what you call golfers, people that golfers. Bored, I think is what you call them. Uh, but everyone looked like they knew what they were doing, you know. And then I was just looking at what I was doing. I was like, oh, I like golfing. I like okay. I think I don't know what it is. I think I truly suck at doing podcasts. Every uh, this whole story has nothing interesting about it. I talk to myself, you know, most days, and I try to think about sometimes what am I going to say on this podcast. And the story I come up with is so funny and interesting and whatever. And then I get in front of this camera, in front of this microphone, and I flounder. I I just doggy paddle for 45 minutes, and none of it feels comfortable. I think it's because like every second I feel like I'm stealing your time, you know? Because none of this matters. But is that a bad thing? No, right? I think the problem is I haven't like when I tell stories, it's I really like telling stories to real people because it's so easy to see like what's gonna hit, what's gonna not. And usually if something hits, it's easier to like double down on that because you already like got them with a little laughter, and then you just push a little harder, and then boom, they don't cave, but like you play into that. It's almost like in sports, you find a pocket. Anytime they leave the pocket just slightly exposed, you drive. That's where you go. And so sometimes when I get a smile or like a little stifled laugh, that's the pocket, and that's where I attack. I go for the joke right there. But with this is like when you're just at a basketball court all alone and you're just doing dribble moves, but no one's guarding you. So you're just doing like behind the back, through the legs, and someone's just watching you and they're like, what is he? Is he going to shoot, or is he just going to keep like moving in the same little area? Like he's putting on a show, but nothing's really happening. When is this guy going to score? I want to see more scoring. That's how I feel about this. I feel like I just keep fucking dribbling in the same place. Like, yes, this is happening. This is 45 minutes of me talking. But, like, when am I going to score? When is something going to be funny? When is something going to be interesting? When is something going to be useful? I don't know. Also, it's easier to, in real time, like, cut away the fat of a story. Like, if you see, you get the reaction. When you get the reaction, it's easier to throw in some fat right there. That's when you like bunker down and you would go after that current premise pretty hard. But when you see that face, that just straight face, they're listening, but nothing's really hitting, they go, mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. That's when if there's any fat in the story, cut it out. You cut it out right there. And you just move on to the next thing. You just got to get you're just waiting for that ember to make a flame and then have a fire. But with this, I'm just, I don't, the problem is also, I have trouble like giving into it or getting into it. It's the same reason I've told people, I don't think I could ever be a magician. Because I know exactly where I'm going to dupe you. I know exactly where you're supposed to get tricked. And so the whole time I would just be thinking about that one spot. And I'd be like, oh, like, here it comes. And then like, if I get away with it successfully, I would want to immediately turn around and be like, okay, so I just got you. But you didn't get got, did you? Or did I get you? And they're like, no, I don't know. Did you just do something? I'm like, yeah, so I flipped a card a certain way and you didn't see it. So that was like the magic of that trick. And they're like, wow, okay, yeah. But now that you've explained the trick, it kind of ruined it. And now I know how it works. It's not that special anymore. That's why I can't be a magician, because I know exactly where the cool part is. And then I would want the audience member to know, hey, that was the cool part. But the cool part in magic is the whole thing. It's like getting through the whole thing, and then in the end, the audience is like, oh, I have no idea how the fuck he did that. But I'd be so focused on like, you don't know how I did that? Okay, yeah, I gotta show you. This is so cool. But the same thing happens with jokes, right? You know when the punchline is. And so you just got to keep a straight face until you get there. And you know exactly when it's going to happen. But I think with conversation, that point in the future, when that punchline, you don't see it so far in advance like a magician. A magician knows right when they ask you, hey, do you want to see a trick? He knows exactly where he's going to get you. But with like a conversation or like a story, a lot of times, like I know like a big point in the story that will be like funny or something. But there's all these little points in the story that will just pop up because of that one-on-one interaction. Like how what is it? I just looked this word up like an hour ago. It's a word for like performance. Oh, how the reenactment? Nope. I don't know what the word is. That's another thing on this podcast. I've been working, to like learn more words. When I get in front of this camera, my vocab disappears. I don't remember any words. It it escapes me, But when I like, tell a story or something, sure there's like points where I'm like, oh, I know this part's gonna be good. But just seeing your reaction to the story, it sucks that I can't remember that word. That's going to annoy me so much. I'm going to look it up. This is going to annoy me too. What's another word for performance? Performance synonym. Ah, yes, rendition. God damn it. Rendition. I don't even, now, you know what, now that I know the word, I don't even know if I like the word in this context. But like my rendition of whatever story I'm telling, it'll be different depending on who the audience is. There'll be different parts that are cooler to person A versus person B. Or if it's a group, person A through C, D through F. Like, they might really like person A's will really like one thing, and so I'll like really hit on that a lot. Versus person B might find the whole thing boring, but then the very end, the punchline, the part I knew, like the big wow part of the story, then be like, oh, I like that. And I'm like, yeah, I expected that. But like person A, I'm finding now that I'm saying it out loud, person A is probably someone I'm more comfortable with. It's easier to make those little jokes because then you have a bigger like repertoire of like stuff to pull from, life experiences, inside jokes. It's the inside jokes. You can pull from inside jokes into this story that only makes sense for your rendition of that story to person A that would never make sense to person B. And so it's much easier to tell stories in real life because you can essentially customize a story, make a story bespoke to a person. And I think that makes the story more better. Because the problem with a podcast is I don't really know who I'm talking to. And so you're probably like, oh, well, just say it how you would say it to yourself. And it's like, I find so much of what I say boring or meaningless. And then in the same way, I don't find everything like every joke I tell, I don't find it all funny. I remember I was talking to one of my friends, Abe, 2 years ago. And Abe, we were walking across the street, and I made some stupid joke, and it was like, oh, something about frat guys. And he was like, dude, that wasn't funny. And he was like, I think you're funny. Don't get me wrong. A lot of stuff you say, funny. But I got to be honest, also as a friend, that what you just said wasn't funny. I was like, yeah, I know. He's like, no, really, I think you're a funny guy, but that wasn't. I was like, okay, I think I get it. But I explained to him that every joke I make isn't necessarily because I find it funny. It's the same thing, like I said, when I find that pocket in sports. If I see the pocket, see the opportunity, I'll take it. Doesn't mean I'm always going to score when I take that lane, but I'm always going to try to take it. And so anytime I see an opportunity for a joke, even if I don't find it funny, I'm still going to take it because I think for the sake of our analogy, the team, I think I can score one for the team even if it's not, a point on my end. If I can make you laugh with a joke, even if I don't find the joke funny, I think that's a score. And so when I say certain things, it's not because I find it funny. I would say easily, I gotta say like 80 to 90, we'll say 85%. I feel like 85% of the jokes I say, I don't really even find funny. It's just an opportunity for a joke that I see. And so I try to take it. So that's the thing. Like, I don't know if I could tell you a story how I would tell it to myself because I don't really think I find myself that funny, do I? That's a lie. I'm my biggest fan. But there's so many things I feel like I wouldn't like when I tell a story, I like to just say what happened. Like I can't sit through a story someone tells when they say the same things like 4 times. It's like we went to the coffee store and remember we went to the coffee store because we were trying to get some coffee. Remember I hadn't had my coffee this morning. So we found ourselves at the coffee store. And I'm like, yeah, we fucking got that. Where were you again? The coffee store? Oh, I forgot because you said it 5 times already. So that's the thing. Like, if I tell a story, I'd be like, oh, I went to the coffee store and I got coffee. And some guy, like, spilled all his drinks. Yeah. Like, to me, that's what I think. But then, like, I could take that and turn it into this big thing. Like, oh, I don't really drink coffee. It makes me hyper. Usually when I drink coffee, when I get caffeinated, I usually sing. So, going into Starbucks, I was a little nervous. I was met with trepidation because I didn't know if I was going to down this drink. Was I going to burst out into a chorus, into a chorale-like nature? Because, me, big coffee guy. See, I would do something like that to, like, bolster the story, to make it bigger. But in my head, I'm like, I wanted coffee. I went to the coffee store. Oh, a guy dropped his drink. End of story. But when I tell it to someone, I play it up a little. I add more context. I add background. Why am I going to a coffee store? oh, because I want coffee, but I'm not even really, ooh, caveat, I'm not even really big into coffee. So let me address that. That's kind of weird. And then, you play on that a little bit like, oh, I don't like coffee um, because of the taste, but, ooh, interesting thing, coffee makes me sing. And so that's how I do that. Then I go there, make some observations about the place. Oh, it's a more modern Starbucks. Um, make some jokes about that. And then, like, whatever. But in my head, it's 3 bullet points. So I can't tell you stuff the way I think about it because it's extremely boring. So I try to add more to it, add all the fluff. But I don't know which fluff to add because I don't really get who I'm talking to. Does that make sense? And so this podcast that was supposed to be about, golfing, and even I was going to talk about, I drove to Davis today. I woke up in Roseville this morning. I drove to Davis today. I was going to talk about this car for like 10 minutes that I saw. But I don't know why, but I can't. It's like I don't think I get how to be funny by myself. Um, yeah. And that's why, like, in conversations, I don't know if you know me in real life, but like in conversations, I don't like um I don't like to always be the one talking, but I like to be the one that's always like adding something, Um, nope, that's wrong. That was wrong. I don't like I like telling a story if you ask me to tell a story, but I'll never like offer up a story just to hear my own voice. Um, I think I'm good at like adding stuff. I don't think I'm good at like making a thing. That's wrong too. I don't know. I think I'm trying to like figure out my podcast voice. And so this is me thinking out loud, like all the different things I think about when I tell these stories to you. But then, I listen to past podcasts and I'm like, oh, I told this story, no big deal. And so why can't I just get back to that? Like, why am I getting so inside my head right now? And another thing I notice is the podcasts I like the best are when they're very, um, for lack of a better term or phrase, like off the cuff. I don't know if that's correct, but when I don't think about it too far in advance. Something I do before these podcasts is um, I think too much about them and I start already telling the story in my head. And once I've told a story, I don't want to reuse a part of it, and so I just trash it. I'm like, no, that was a that was a good part. I needed that um, because I just told the story to myself. Oh, but Garv, you just said when you tell yourself stories, it's boring. Yeah, but then I start talking to myself like I'm talking on a podcast, and then that's when I add in fluff. But once I've added fluff, I throw it away because it's already been used. And so when it's off the cuff, like I do this, the podcast right after the UC Davis show, when I was recording those, I think they were better because I would record the UC Davis show and then I wouldn't have any time to think about my podcast. I would just go straight into the podcast and I would just talk about whatever is on my mind. And so I feel like it was so much more fresh. Whereas now it's like I'm thinking about it so much that, this stuff gets stale in my head. All these things I'm going to tell you. And then you get this shitty, stale rendition of a podcast. So yeah, I did not know this was what this was going to turn into. And you can see kind of from this episode, when there's like a thing, uh, like just to talk about and there's no jokes being made, it's very easy not to pause. I can just like go because when I get, into like saying jokes, I always got to like run those by essentially like the PR person in my head. Like, oh, Garv, if you say this joke, what are the long-term implications or short-term implications? What is the result of you telling this joke, putting this out in the public and documenting it, But with something like this, where it's just objective, it's not like um, jokey at all. It's just an idea. It's so much easier just to say it because it's just what I'm thinking. And yeah, while my thoughts do have jokes most of the time, um, I think with something like this, um, there's not that many jokes. It's just like a thing I'm thinking about because it's there's no way to have someone relate to it because it's just what I'm thinking about my situation. So I think that's why no jokes come in, because like I said, there's no real inside jokes from other people to pull from, because it's just like my own experience. I don't think what I just said made any sense. Like, it made complete sense to me. I don't expect you to get that at all. And not because of a lack of understanding on your part. I think it's just inherently, I set that sentence up or that idea um, in a way that I don't think it should make any sense to you, because it doesn't. What was this, man? Holy shit. Anyways, um, go check out the video I made for UC Davis's channel. I promise there will be a main channel video this week. I've taken a weird 3-week break. I don't know. I'll talk about it next week or something. Who knows? Like, why I like haven't been posting. I don't know. But thanks for the support. If you listen to this, thanks so much. Make sure you like all the likes. Make sure you please like the video, and I'll talk at you next week. Okay, sorry about this, and bye.